Chris Marek was arrested after formally divorcing Amy Roloff, star of Little People, Big World. I'll tell you all about it. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We're discussing the explosive romance between Amy Roloff and Chris Marek, the fissures that eventually became abysses, the finality of their divorce only a few weeks ago, and the shocking news of Chris Marek's arrest. We've been putting this together for months, speaking with people close to both sides, looking over court records you haven't seen, and learning the heartbreaking reality behind the Instagram grins. It's exclusive. Go back to 2017. After decades of marriage and the heavy public attention following her divorce from Matt, Amy Roloff was adjusting to life as a newly single woman. Chris Marek comes in. Not a little person, not a reality star, but a prosperous real estate broker from Washington State who seemed grounded. Chris was introduced to Amy by common acquaintances and stood for stability, normalcy, and opportunity. To emerge from the shadow of the Roloff farm. His admirers loved him. He was the kind, encouraging companion Amy had been waiting for. He hugged her family, seemed at ease on the sidelines of the LPBW heavy cameras, and exuded sincere love. They all exhaled in relief when they got engaged in 2019. Amy's story had ended happily. It had the ideal appearance. The August 2021 seaside wedding was shown on television. Romance at its best. Chris promised to support Amy. This chapter was meant to be, Amy said with a smile. However, underneath the well-manicured Instagram, rumors started about the TLC alterations and posts. According to sources, it wasn't easy to go from dating bliss to wedded life, particularly when viewed through the lens of LPBW. A quiet man thrown into a highly public life was Chris Marek. According to people close to the marriage, Chris became more and more uneasy with LPV's continual filming requirements. Reality TV, which turns every argument into possible video, began to take its toll. Chris detested the circus but undoubtedly adored Amy. The sense that his life wasn't his own was something he detested. Quietly, he established a prosperous profession. All of a sudden, he was married to Amy Roloff. It was chafed. He began avoiding the camera whenever he could, which infuriated the producers and, to be honest, Amy at times. The property battles followed. Amy lived mostly in her condo in Portland. Chris kept up his residence in Washington. According to insiders, this physical divide became symbolic even if it was initially portrayed as functional. Amy had strong ties to Oregon, where she lived with her family, grandchildren, and the history of Roloff Farms. Chris had strong commercial and personal links to the north. Conflict arose from compromise. There was always the "where do we live?" debate. Amy had no plans to leave Oregon. Chris had no desire to move completely. Time felt shattered when they attempted to split it. As Amy concentrated on her memoir and other endeavors, she desired a genuine companion to share her everyday life in Portland. Chris didn't appear to care about that world. Though subtle, the signs were there if you looked. Chris shows up. Decreased on Amy's social media accounts. Public appearances together became less frequent. Amy's postings became much more focused on her work, solo trips, children, and grandchildren. The story of the ideal pair was coming to an end. In May 2023, the formal announcement was made. A sobering official declaration that Amy and Chris had split several months earlier. The fans were taken aback. Without the warmth that marked their early friendship, the news was sent through Amy's website. It discussed a challenging choice and a plea for privacy. According to our sources, the split occurred in late 2022 after a very stressful holiday season that was full of disagreements about future plans and Chris's mounting dissatisfaction with the public side of their existence. Although the public saw the breakup as friendly, Amy apparently suffered greatly from it. Amy was devastated. She genuinely thought that this was her forever. The speed at which things went south after the wedding caught her off guard. A great deal of sobbing, a great deal of asking questions. In private, she maintained a bold facade. It was disastrous. Chris appeared determined, perhaps even somewhat relieved to take a back seat. The Oregon divorce proceedings were surprisingly confidential. TMC did not witness any tumultuous public disputes over property. According to our legal sources, Both parties sought a speedy, uncontested dissolution and hired knowledgeable attorneys. Amy retained her business interests and her condo in Portland. Chris kept his assets and houses in Washington. A clear separation indicated that both parties wanted to go on swiftly and discreetly. Late in June 2024, the final decree was signed. An extremely public marriage with a quiet legal conclusion. Many supporters wished for Amy's speedy recovery. She prioritized her book promotion, her boutique, and her family. Chris was virtually forgotten by the public. Their narrative appeared to be coming to a sad, quiet end, but the true shockwave was about to arrive. Then the silence broke on the morning of July 15, 2024. Law broke the news. Enforcement sources, which were subsequently validated by official documents. Early on July 14, Christopher Marek was taken into custody in Clark County, Washington. The allegations include assault, domestic violence, malicious mischief, not a traffic infraction, and not a minor quarrel. The words are terrifying. The extensively redacted police report that our team was able to get states that shortly after 1:30 a.m., deputies responded to a 911 call from a house that was determined to be Chris Marek's primary residence. The caller was characterized as while visiting Marek, a female acquaintance reported a physical altercation. According to the preliminary investigation, a dispute got out of hand. According to the victim, Marek grew violent, pushing her and knocking her against furniture, which led to minor bruises. After that, he allegedly started throwing things and breaking furniture inside the house. Despite being clearly shaken, the sufferer refused to be taken to the hospital right away. Marek was said to be extremely drunk and aggressive at the scene. When deputies arrived, they saw the occupants in chaos and the victim in distress. According to reports, Marek was initially uncooperative but was apprehended without any additional problems. The mugshot, the haunted eyes, and the dishment were taken after he was processed and lodged into the Clark County Jail. Later that day, pending his initial court appearance, he was released on bond. To be crystal clear, these are accusations. Until he is found guilty in court, Chris Murray is entitled to due process and the assumption of innocence of the law. Nonetheless, the charges are really serious and upsetting, especially the section about domestic abuse. It wasn't a fight at the pub. Someone he knew is said to have been involved in this incident that occurred in his home. It was an instantaneous and explosive hit. Social media was inundated with shock, rage, and unwavering support for Amy from fans. The hashtag #StandWith became popular. There was a lot of speculation. Was there a darker side to Amy? Was she fortunate to be absent? How was she handling it? Amy Roloff has remained silent as a rock. No sneaky Instagram quotes. No public declarations. All comments were denied by her representatives. This quiet says a lot. According to others close to Amy, the news shocked and severely disturbed her. The accusations presented an image that was glaringly different from the man she married, even though they had been divorced for weeks. Remaining anguish and betrayal are said to coexist with a deep sense of relief that she was no longer in that relationship. First and foremost, she is heartbroken for the victim. Indeed, anger is present. Rage at this incident. There is anger about the decisions he made, but the main emotion is one of intense grief. It was sad that the man she loved was reportedly capable of doing this. It seems like the last, unsightly shattering of the fairy story she had faith in. At the moment, she is relying largely on her kids and her closest friends. She doesn't want to get involved in the mess. The world of Chris Marek has collapsed. The website for his real estate brokerage is unavailable. His reputation in the workplace is in ruins. An effort to have failed to get through to him or his attorney. Regardless of the verdict, he will be subject to actual legal risk, possible jail time, fines, required counseling, and the lifelong stigma of an arrest for domestic abuse. He has an upcoming court date. Also, the Roloff family has cut ties. When approached by a tourist, Matt Roloff remained silent. Audrey, Jeremy, Tori, and Zach remained silent and concentrated on helping their mother. The production staff of LPBW is faced with a challenge. How this earthquake incident should be handled in the future season, if any. Although Amy's future path will be crucial, Marek's arrest will always remain a shadow. In hindsight, were there hints? It is brutally obvious in hindsight. Deeper dissatisfaction may have been the cause of Chris's increasing retreat from the LPBW limelight, which was misconstrued as timidity. Although practical, the separate residences encouraged alienation, but nothing suggested this degree of purported instability. The arrest compels a harsh reassessment. Was the amiable, laid-back Chris Marek a well-planned facade? Was this a terrible, alcoholic aberration, or did the stresses of his new life unleash something darker? The fans' and Amy's trust is irreparably damaged, even though the legal system may offer answers. The man who was introduced as Amy's rock is charged with being something dreadfully distinct. This tale serves as a sobering reminder. We can never be sure of what goes on behind closed doors. Although reality TV promotes stories, reality is frequently more chaotic, sinister, and perhaps more tragic. Amy Roloff's fortitude is being put to the ultimate test. There was hope for a happy second chapter in Amy Roloff and Chris Marek's story. Divorce papers and a mugshot mark the conclusion. The stark contrast serves as a harsh reminder of how easily life may fall apart. Amy must travel a new route, healing, while Chris Marek deals with the court system and the fallout from his own decisions. Her strength has always been what makes her unique. Developing a job, raising 4 kids, managing a highly public divorce, falling in love once more, and now enduring this shocking betrayal. She has her work, her faith, her family, and the steadfast support of millions of fans who view her as a courageous lady in addition to being a reality star. Amy Roloff is worthy of tranquility. She should be protected. She is worthy of a safe, respectful, and sincere love. That is the opposite of what Chris Marek is accused of. We must keep in mind the actual victim, the woman who was reportedly raped, as this judicial process progresses. That evening, and honor her trip and solitude. For Amy, this means putting an end to a poisoned door and concentrating on the future. Her passions, her children, her lovely grandchildren, and her own difficult independence. This goes beyond news about celebrities. Domestic violence, the clothing individuals wear, and the extraordinary fortitude of the human spirit are all topics covered in this tale. Amy's silence says more than words can. Let this serve as a sobering reminder, and let her courage serve as an inspiration. If you or someone, please get in touch if you know someone who is a victim of domestic abuse. Telephone numbers 1-8007 and 999 SAFE 7233 are the National Domestic Violence Hotlines. You're not by yourself. This has been a thorough examination of a genuinely tragic circumstance. Additional updates. Does Amy still have feelings for her ex-partner? Small people. Amy Roloff, who starred in season 25 of Big World, had to cope with the loss of a husband she truly loved. Is she still in love with him? I'll tell you all about it. Amy Roloff has experienced a lot, including a difficult divorce. Little people, large world. From Matt Roloff, the husband. She most likely still harbors feelings for her ex-partner. Amy still suffers from severe emotional distress anytime she is around Matt and his fiancée, Karen Chandler, even though she seems to have found closure with Chris Murray. Did Amy's heart ever heal after Matt's breakup? All she wanted was to be his wife for life. She can't get rid of the ghosts of her ex-partner, even if she is now with someone else. Amy might still be in pain and wish her life had went in a new direction. She might even claim that it was destroyed by Karen. Season 25 of Little People, Big World premiered. Given that Amy's life hasn't always been easy, it makes sense that she might occasionally feel resentful and jealous. However, the screenplay suggests that Karen is suffering more than she needs to as a result of Matt's engagement. It is obvious that Amy should have moved on from her relationship with Matt once she married Chris on August 28, 2021. But it's obvious that she feels uncomfortable speaking. Beside Karen, Amy is undoubtedly struggling with the early notion that Matt and Amy's connection is suspect. Amy wanted to be with Matt forever since she loved him so much. Karen completely destroyed her. Zach Roloff faced a very severe and distressing health situation in the first season of Little People, Big World. His awful headache was a sign of something more catastrophic. He had to have surgery because the pressure-relieving shunt that was placed in his skull was inadequate. But there was a lot more drama involved. Amy was informed by Matt and Karen that they intended to bequeath her whatever portion of their assets they had upon their deaths. Amy was still coming to terms with the fact that he had decided to ask Karen to marry him. In all seriousness, it seemed as though Amy's considerate response was intended to lessen the impact of the engagement news when she eventually said, "Okay, let us see the ring." It was a catastrophe. She was obviously trying to conceal her anxious sentiments and sorrow over the engagement of Matt and Karen. She claims that she always tries to be cordial with Karen. She must be feeling duped by Karen, thus it must be really tough for her. Karen started dating Matt when she was employed at Roloff Farms. Amy was reportedly furious when she saw the filthy texts and indecent photos between the two. The entire procedure was painful and repulsive. Even though Matt clearly loves Karen, Amy and Matt's 28-year marriage ended in 2015. Despite Karen's beauty, Amy can't help but harbor anger for her. The second woman was terrifying. Amy has acknowledged that she and Karen will never be friends. However, Matt is the main source of motivation. Karen knew that Matt was married, but this guy was married to Amy. Both of them are therefore accountable. Events take place. People fall in love, and sometimes falling in love can be harmful. It's frequently assumed that Matt's fixation on Karen is what finally caused the dissolution of Amy's union. It goes without saying that Matt should not continue to be married to a woman he does not love, especially if he has feelings for someone else. However, Amy was treated cruelly by Karen and Matt. Observe Amy's expression upon discovering those small notes. It must have been a terrible experience. Regretfully, Amy occasionally has to deal with Karen as well, and she has had to confront some difficult facts regarding Matt. Amy's quality of life would likely improve if she were not required to be courteous to Matt's wife. Enhance. For her children's benefit. More than anything else, Amy does her job with courage. Even though Amy still harbored feelings for Matt, she had the courage to end their relationship. Despite many obstacles, including her dwarfism, Amy has accomplished something truly amazing. She is incredibly resilient. The tiny people are not always treated with kindness by society. In any case, Amy graduated with a degree in business. Additionally, Amy spent years and a great deal of time trying to win Matt over, who was infamously temperamental and challenging when it came to Roloff Farms. Matt is deserving of praise for enduring suffering all his life. His dwarfism type is more detrimental to his health than Amy's. An individual's emotional state is negatively impacted by ongoing discomfort. That's a lot to handle. Amy is a fantastic chef and a great mother. She makes a fantastic pumpkin salsa. She had a loving husband. She had met Matt at a children's convention. In the same year, they were married. It had to have. His declining interest in other women made him appear like something from a fairy tale to Amy, the pragmatic Virgo. Matt Liebert started to question whether Amy was romantic enough for him. Perhaps it was just that Amy and Matt were not compatible. However, Amy was unaware of Matt's true state of despair. Despite her bossiness and occasional grumpiness, Amy is actually rather sympathetic when you take into account all the hardship she has endured. Her attempts to control the situation are infused with a heroic character. Amy might believe that she and her generosity is not something Matt deserves. They could fail to see some of her positive qualities. Marek and the rest of the cast and audience of Little People, Big World should. Amy has reason to believe that Matt and Karen are telling the truth because they have informed her that they wish to sell the farm. The land will be passed on to them. Matt reassured his sons. Instead, though, Matt offered them something. He might be able to do the same with Amy. The marriage between Matt and Amy wasn't always ideal. The last nail in their coffin was put by Karen. Matt was more likely to have an affair because they were already experiencing issues. Amy looked like she had lost a lot of weight because of Matt. It is obvious that he did not value his wife, who is in charge of parenting their kids. But for no obvious reason, Amy deserves respect. Amy is a good person. Amy did her best as a mother to make Matt's life happy. She continues to act like we. Karen must find it difficult to be friendly with Zach, yet Zach was coping with a recent medical condition. She supported him. Matt, who keeps everything ordered, wasn't there. Matt is increasingly using the aggressive card. He seems to be content with Karen. But perhaps he should use more caution. Likewise, Amy needs to exercise caution. After becoming well known, these two tiny stars were linked to people of average height who fell in love with them. Perhaps someone is attempting to exploit Amy and Matt. Rich, powerful, and well-known. Amy and Matt are persons. Maybe when Amy and Matt first fell in love, their relationship was more genuine and genuine. Matt might regret abandoning Amy and having such high hopes for Karen at some point. He can also be content in a covertly transactional relationship. What causes these average-sized men to fall deeply in love with their partners who are small? They might, but it's equally plausible that they don't, considering how suspicious their goals are. People may eventually learn to adopt a different person's identity and take advantage of it. Even while they may like their partners, they won't be deeply in love. The genuine love that Karen and Chris have for their significant others is just one of many options. When Amy gave Matt the recipe for pumpkin salsa, Matt tried to claim it as his own. They were able to sell the meal on schedule, just like they could with other agricultural products. Something like that would never be done by a husband who genuinely cared about his wife. The commotion over the pumpkin salsa was a serious warning sign. Amy's amazing culinary abilities have her in the news right now. She has a cookbook of her own. Thus, Amy was able to go above Matt's negativity and challenge once more. In another instance, Matt accidentally injured his wife when he chose to leave early because he believed Amy had made a bad decision in choosing a dude ranch holiday destination. He might not have been suited for the man ranch. He was probably right when he said that his limited movement prevented him from appreciating it completely. But he wasn't worried about Amy's emotions. He was quite self-centered, as he always was. Matt and Zach are at odds because of this. His son felt as though he had been scorched by the farm sale. Amy now seems to have split from a man who never showed her love. In spite of appearances, this kind of loss is not so bad. However, she had children with him over their decades-long relationship. Of course she had. She was adored by Thaki. Otherwise, why would she have? Realizing that Matt only wanted to be free of her must have caused her great pain. She is still in discomfort. Because he doesn't feel anything for her. If she loves Matt, we should feel sorry for her. He doesn't intend to come back. The train is on its way. In the legendary words of Austin Powers, no one understands why Matt felt the need to claim his wife's inventiveness, but it's possible that he feels scared when others achieve success. It's possible that Matt never truly felt anything for Amy or that he changed. Perhaps he was constantly posing as one of those eerie male characters in plays about beautiful infidelity. Problematically, Amy remembers Matt as a beloved partner. She doesn't have it. She could ignore it indefinitely. Matt has a track record of making grave errors in judgment. Many individuals may not be aware of Matt's past of cocaine misuse, despite his seeming good demeanor. The good news is that Matt, who was frequently patronizing, was able to kick his addiction, but his history of cocaine abuse demonstrates that he has a brave side. In a similar vein, he was arrested for driving under the influence only once. Amy might have genuinely enjoyed Matt's characteristics of a wicked kid. Many ladies enjoy the company of pompous, narcissistic males. The custom of certain women fastening letters to criminals serving life sentences for heinous crimes is one example. It's likely that Matt gave her the thrill she's been looking for, even if she doesn't miss him due of his bad boy tendencies. Amy appears depressed as she spends time with Matt and Karen. There is no denying that. It is evident that she is experiencing stress. The conversations hurt, and Amy has stated that it's weird. It seems like there is no end to this war. She must be mentally exhausted from continuing to love Matt. Maybe Matt doesn't notice these signs. Maybe he can understand his ex-wife's suffering. Maybe that's why he said she should inherit the farm. Amy has the capacity to experience love for both Matt and Chris. People have complex personalities. Even if Chris is an amazing husband who gives Amy safety and affection, Amy will continue to dwell on the past. Occasionally, she will undoubtedly draw parallels between her previous and present relationships. Amy might have believed that her relationship with Matt was more significant on a deeper level. In the currently airing season 25 of Little People, Big world, Matt and Karen are now building their ideal home. It appears that it will be a stunning rancher without stairs. It's the ideal house for a small person. He will never give it to Amy, even though she is only another small person. Rather than that, Matt will provide it to a woman with a rather average build. When Amy considers all the significant life events that Matt has not been able to share with her, she can't help but wonder, what if? What kind of home would Matt and Amy own if Karen hadn't been employed at Roloff Farms? So lot to absorb. Not today. What are your thoughts on today's gossip? Please share your thoughts in the comment section and subscribe to our channel to receive future updates of similar kind. Thank you.